out his foreign policy platform tonight. His most recent overseas trip was marred by a series of gaffes. But on Wednesday, running mate Paul Ryan suggested that under Mitt Romney, the U.S. would once again take a supreme spot on the world stage. And former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice and Senator John McCain hammered away at President Obama's foreign policy record.
And in our dealings with other nations, a Romney-Ryan administration will speak with confidence and clarity. Whenever men and women rise up for their own freedom, they will know that the American president is on their side.
The desire for liberty and freedom is indeed universal as men and women in the Middle East rise up to seize it. Yet the promise of the Arab Spring is engulfed in uncertainty. Internal strife and hostile neighbors are challenging the young, fragile democracy of Iraq. Dictators in Iran and Syria butcher their people and threaten regional security. Russia and China prevent a response, and everyone asks, where does America stand?
For 4 years, we've drifted away from our proudest traditions of global leadership, traditions that are truly bipartisan. We've let the challenges we face both at home and abroad become much harder to solve. We can't afford to stay on that course any longer. We can't afford to cause our friends and allies from Latin America to Europe to Asia to the Middle East, and especially in Israel, a nation under existential threat, to doubt America's leadership.
It was a common theme there. Let's talk more about Romney's foreign policy platform. I'm joined now by Jonathan Burks. He's the Deputy Policy Director for the Romney campaign. Thanks for joining us live here in Tampa.
Thanks for having me.
What will be the big difference if Mitt Romney is elected president in terms of foreign policy between him and Barack Obama?
Well, I think you'll see that Governor Romney doesn't believe in leading from behind. American resolve will be restored, and the United States will be clear about what its interests are and how it's willing to pursue them.
But what does that mean?
Well, I think it's clear that this president is abashed about the United States having interests. Mitt Romney recognizes that the United States has goals, has priorities, has things that we want to accomplish in the world, and is not going to be afraid to go out.
Specifically in the Middle East, for instance. Let's talk specifically about policy differences between Barack Obama and Mitt Romney on Iran, for instance.
Sure. Well, for one thing, the president always claims that he's opposed to Iran developing a nuclear capability. Yet he's proven unwilling to toughen the sanctions regime. He's proven unwilling. Well, if you look back,
he signed into law the toughest sanctions against Iran back in March this year.
After having fought there to make that bill for a year. And so the president has, instead of demonstrating leadership, has been dragged into toughening the sanctions regime.
Do you think the Mitt Romney campaign doubts Barack Obama's willingness to stop Iran from developing a nuclear weapon?
I think he's failed to demonstrate his commitment to doing that. He's made clear by ceding leadership of the international effort to a coalition of other countries. He's not made clear that the military option is on the table, and so it's a.
But that's not true. He has said that all options are on the table.
Well, the world doesn't seem to believe him. Otherwise, they would keep.
It's not that he hasn't said it. You're saying people don't believe that he's willing to use that option.
Well, it's clear that one of the reasons that people doubt the president's commitment is that he hasn't demonstrated that commitment.
Let's talk about Israel. And the idea that it's quite possible that Israel at some stage will go it alone and strike Iran's nuclear facilities. What would Mitt Romney's position be on Israel unilaterally attacking Iran?
Every country has a right to self-defense. Governor Romney recognizes that and is committed to making sure that every country has the right to do what it needs to do to protect itself from existential threats.
But would the United States step in and help under a Romney presidency?
Let's not go into speculation. The bottom line is that we recognize that Israel has a right to exist and has a right to defend itself.
Now, when Mitt Romney visited Israel, he angered some Arabs because of some of the statements he made about, that were interpreted as meaning that Israelis are somehow culturally superior to Arabs, and that's why they do economically well. Is that his belief?
No, what Governor Romney actually said was that there's a culture of free enterprise that is common and is pervasive in Israel, and that is why Israel is successful. It's a culture that respects the rule of law, that respects achievement, and that is the reason why we really have a successful Israel. It's not that there's something inherently better or worse about any particular religion. It's that the culture of free enterprise, the culture of the rule of law.
Well, what angered Arabs in particular, as they said, it's the occupation that's holding us back, certainly not our culture.
Well, there's no question that the situation in the West Bank and Gaza is impacted in part by the security situation, in part by the governance situation. And so a long-term solution to that is necessary.
Let's talk about Syria. What are the differences, do you think, between Barack Obama and Mitt Romney on Syria, if Mitt Romney is elected?
Well, I think, again, the president, instead of leading on this issue, has chosen first to put his entire policy in the hands of Kofi Annan, who then, threw up his hands and said, my policy has failed. And what you haven't seen from this president is leadership on stating clearly what the U.S. interests are and clearly taking steps to pursue.
But specifically, let's talk specifics here. Would Mitt Romney support arming rebel groups in Syria? We spoke to Condoleezza Rice, the former U.S. Secretary of State. She clearly told me, yes, America should participate in the arming of rebels. Does Mitt Romney support that idea?
We certainly have to work with the responsible elements in the Syrian opposition and to provide them with the tools they need to overthrow the dictator.
Is that a yes?
We're certainly interested in accelerating the demise of the Assad regime.
All right. Well, so then that's still unclear how, though, that would happen. Yes?
Well, I think it's clear that the Syrian people have stood up and are taking the actions necessary to get rid of the Assad regime, and we should be helping the responsible elements of that opposition.
All right, so let's talk about what Mitt Romney's first foreign policy initiative might be if elected. We heard from Dan Senor, his foreign policy advisor, his first trip would be to Israel. Is that a promise he made to the Israeli leaders?
Well, he certainly made a promise not to visit or not to wait 4 years to visit. I don't know if that'll be his first trip or not, but that's certainly a possibility. And I expect that Governor Romney's made clear that the central and strongest ally that we have in the Middle East is Israel.
All right, Jonathan Burks, the Deputy Policy Director for the Romney campaign. Thank you so much for joining us here
Thanks for having me.
at the International Desk. Now.